I used to think my family was a little broken. My parents had divorced when I was 9, and for the longest time, I believed nothing could ever feel normal again. My dad worked long hours at a construction company, and I was often left to myself at home, figuring out schoolwork and chores. When he remarried a few years later, I didn't know how to feel about it. I had all sorts of worries about having a stepmom, someone who wasn't my real mother trying to be a parent in my life. Her name was Sarah, and from the very beginning, she carried herself with warmth. She had this calm smile, the kind that reached her eyes, and she always spoke softly, even when she was giving directions. Still, I wasn't ready to accept her. She wasn't my mom. My mom lived 3 states away and could only visit during the summer. To me, Sarah was a stranger, a guest in the house I had known my whole life. One rainy Saturday afternoon, an unexpected moment changed how I felt about her forever. It had been a long week at school, and I wasn't in the best mood. I had just finished a rough math test, gotten into an argument with one of my friends, and then came down with a cold that made me feel miserable. My dad was working overtime again that weekend, so it was just me and Sarah at home. She tried to cheer me up with cookies and hot cocoa, but I kept brushing her off. I didn't want to talk, didn't want to smile, didn't want to pretend everything was fine. Eventually, she suggested something that surprised me. "Why don't you go take a warm bath?" she said gently. "It might help you relax and feel a little better. I'll make sure you have some fresh towels." I didn't argue. The idea of sinking into warm water sounded perfect. I headed upstairs, filled the tub, and slipped in. The steam rose around me, easing some of the tightness in my chest. For the first time that day, I felt a little calmer. A few minutes later, there was a soft knock on the bathroom door. "Hey, sweetie, I brought some eucalyptus bath salts. They help when you're feeling sick. Do you mind if I come in for a second?" I hesitated. I wasn't used to her being around me in vulnerable moments. But something in her voice was so kind, so motherly, that I found myself saying, "Okay." She stepped in, set the bath salts on the edge of the tub, and looked at me with a smile. "You know," she said, almost thoughtfully, "when I was little and feeling sick, my mom used to sit with me during bath time. It always made me feel cared for, like I wasn't alone." Without really asking, she sat on a little stool by the tub. Not in the water, not crossing any boundaries, just there, present. She sprinkled some of the salts into the bath, and soon the air filled with a refreshing scent. We talked. At first, it was small things, how the rain sounded against the roof, what my favorite subject at school was, the story of how she once failed a math test too. Slowly, the conversation deepened. I told her how I missed my mom, how I sometimes felt like I didn't fit in, how it was hard to accept changes in our family. She listened without judgment. She didn't try to replace my mom or act like she had all the answers. Instead, she said something I'll never forget. "I know I'm not your mom, and I never want to take her place. But I do care about you very much. I'm here if you ever need someone to lean on. Even if it's just sitting by you during a bath when you feel sick and tired." It was such a simple moment, but it felt huge. The warmth of the water, the scent of the eucalyptus, the steady presence of someone who truly cared, it all wrapped around me like a blanket. For the first time, I felt like maybe having a stepmom didn't mean I was losing something. Maybe it meant I was gaining something too. That night, after I dried off and put on my pajamas, Sarah made me soup and sat with me while we watched an old movie. We laughed, we shared stories, and slowly, a bond began to form. Over the years, I thought back to that day often. It wasn't about the bath itself. It was about the care she showed, the willingness to be there without pushing too hard, the quiet love that spoke louder than words. Family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about the people who choose to show up for you in the moments that matter most. Sarah never tried to erase my mom's place in my heart, she simply carved out her own. And that rainy Saturday, sitting by the tub while I was sick and tired, was when I first realized she truly belonged in our family. From that day forward, I stopped calling her, Dad's wife, in my head. She became something more. Maybe not my mom, but definitely my stepmom in the best sense of the word, a second mother figure who had earned my trust and respect. Looking back now, I know that moment was the turning point. What happened when my stepmom joined me in the bath wasn't just about comfort or care, it was about opening a door to a relationship I didn't think was possible. It was about love showing up in unexpected places. And sometimes, love looks like eucalyptus bath salts, a warm smile, and someone sitting quietly by your side when you need them most.